The head of the Immigration Department has urged politicians to question the mandatory detention of asylum seekers. An inquiry into the government's detention network has revealed massive blowouts in costs and incidents of self-harm. But despite the department's free thinking on alternatives, the government and the opposition are showing no signs of changing policy on mandatory detention. George Roberts reports from Canberra.
A steady tide of boat arrivals in recent years has got the head of immigration questioning the very policies his department's charged with administering.
Is immigration detention a deterrent? Does immigration detention facilitate case resolution? What range of facilities should be utilised?
He's pondering the prospect of more community detention rather than using remote facilities.
We believe it is a very successful program and speaking personally, yes, it's something that I would hope might be able to be expanded.
Mr Metcalfe's urged politicians to consider what else about detention needs changing. Some already think the answers are clear.
Has it worked as a deterrent? No. Has it cost Australian taxpayers billions of dollars? Yes. Has it ruined vulnerable people's lives? Yes. And what is the purpose of mandatory detention?
Others are starting to show signs of uncertainty about whether detention should always be used.
My view is, in some instances, it shouldn't. So, I mean, it's a case-by-case basis. I think it's peculiar to try and have this sort of carte blanche view of everything. Tell me the case and I'll give you an answer.
The Greens and coalition-led probe into the detention networks also revealed the cost has blown out to $770 million, about 5 times more than 2 years ago, and there have been 386 cases of self-harm in the last financial year, which is about 10 times more than the year before. The department says there's a number of factors contributing to a spike in asylum seekers attempting to hurt or kill themselves.
Whether they receive a positive outcome, people rarely self-harm. When they receive a negative outcome, self-harm is a feature.
The department's secretary's mind might be open to detention alternatives, but there's not much of an audience among his current and potential political masters. Bipartisanship on mandatory detention remains as solid as ever.
Mr Metcalfe last night, I think, simply echoed the terms of reference for this inquiry. I'd be very surprised if he was advocating a move away from mandatory detention, and if he did, then I suspect the minister needs to explain today if the government has actually changed their policy on mandatory detention.
One thing they can agree on. George Roberts, ABC News, Canberra.